Hello, book lovers. Welcome to the Sunday Summer Series, Bookish Conversations with Beauty and a Book Brand. I'm Nisha, the host for today's conversation, and today I'll be speaking with Noué Kirwan. Noué has wanted to be a writer since childhood. Growing up in part on the West Coast taught Noué to appreciate the beauty of the outdoors while living in the heart of New York City for the past 20 years. Taught her that she can sleep through anything. Welcome, Noué. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So, can you share the moment you realized that you wanted to be a writer?
Um, there wasn't a precise moment, I would say, because I've been writing since I was little. I used to write all the time, right before I even knew how to like spell properly. But I guess I would probably say that the first time that I really thought I had maybe a knack for it is the first time that my teacher asked me to read my writing in front of a class and sit down, and gathered everybody and was like, Imani's going to read her story. And we weren't really doing that. Like a lot of the kids weren't reading their stories. Like some of them were, but it wasn't like everyone. It wasn't everyone sharing. So I realized, oh, I must have something that, my particular story was, worthy of sharing. And I think that was the first time. And like people dug the story. So I think that was the first time that I was like, oh, maybe there's something here.
Did you have like any literary influences? And how did that shape your current work?
Um, I would say that in terms of influences, they're very like I would say probably common. So I love Judy Blume. I loved like Francine Pascal with the Sweet Valley Twins. I was uh like nut for Christopher Pike when I got a little bit older. Um and I think what more than anything, like I mean, I strive to emulate really is more like it, like how prolific they were and how much and how regular all the characters were. Like they weren't, it wasn't anything fantastical. Not to say that I don't enjoy fantasy, but it wasn't anything fantastical. Everybody was like normal, like, you know, uh in with Judy Blume's books, it was just like kids dealing with their parents, dealing with their siblings. With Christopher Pike, it was definitely like heightened because it was like mysteries and thrillers, but he didn't like talk down to us as like kids. So, you got more like mysteries to solve and stuff. And I think that it was just like the idea that anybody had a story. Like you never know who had a story. You didn't have to be like saving the world. You didn't have to be like the only one, like the giver or anything. You could just, you could just be someone in their house who had a story to tell.
I love that. What would you say your writing routine is like?
Well, unfortunately, the my routine is not a routine. I'm a huge procrastinator. So what I do is I'll settle down in front of the computer and then I will fall down rabbit holes. So I'll fall down an Instagram rabbit hole, or I'll fall down a YouTube rabbit hole. And I'll always be able to excuse it is like it's related to what I'm doing. It's not just random searching. I'm usually it'll be like a research rabbit hole that I fall down, and so I'm like really looking for things, and then I'll go on to like Wikipedia, and then they'll mention something that connects me to something else that'll connect me to something else, and then I'm like an hour later I'm like, what happened? This is not at all the topic that you were looking for. This is not what you were talking about. So Wikipedia, YouTube, and I would say, YouTube. dictionary.com actually are really big like rabbit holes for me, and I fall down those for a while. And then so I would say my routine is being distracted for a little bit, like a good hour or two before I actually settle down to do real writing.
So how do you handle like if you run into writer's block or just a pause and like like a pause in your writing? Like how do you handle that?
I'd say generally speaking, I read, and you're gonna hear me saying that a lot. Like a lot of my answers to everything is like I read. So I read, I watch TV, I read more. I particularly like out of my genre. What I would say to anyone else who kind of ran into writer's block, and my frequent advice is generally that yes, read, but also like move on. Give yourself permission to move on to something else. Like if an idea sparks your interest, move on, write a little bit of that, and then come back. Because sometimes just the idea, the fact of like mulling something else over in your brain will kind of reset you for the thing that you are supposed to be writing. So what I generally do is I might move on to something else, write for a little bit. If anything, if that tweaks anything for me, I'll give myself notes. I'll like write notes regarding what I plan to write. And then what sometimes can happen, what frequently happens is that it'll lead me back to what I'm really supposed to be working on.
So how would you say you approach character development and what do you consider essential in creating compelling characters?
Well, I have to admit, I'm a bit of a pantser. So my characters more often than not tell me who they are. Um, but what generally how that works is that I don't but model my characters after anyone particularly, but I do model them after like types of people that I've met. And then I kind of let them, like I said, tell me who they are. But I will say that I do really appreciate the emotional thesaurus and the emotional wound thesaurus by Angela Ackerman and Becca Paglosi, I think it is Paglosi, because that helps me kind of um, distill what the things about the characters that I want to bring to the forefront, and allows me to like kind of play with it. So it that helps. They're sort of organic, but then once I feel like I have a framework, then they kind of just do their own thing.
What themes do you find yourself repeating in your work?
I was just noticing that like I'm working on my next thing now, and I feel that I keep revisiting parenthood, which is interesting because I don't have any children, but I find myself frequently going back to parenthood from both sides of it. So as the child and as the parent, like the dynamics of parenthood and what that means as a parent and what that means as a child, like how are you formed by the type of parents that you had and that sort of thing. It's not at all deliberate. Maybe it's something I'm working out on my own, even though I have great parents and I love them dearly. But I'm clearly working something out.
Yeah.
So I see myself revisiting that a lot.
How do you stay inspired and keep your writing fresh and engaging?
Like I said, I would say this a lot. Read. I
Yeah.
read a lot. I'm always reading something. My TBR is so long. Um, I'm never gonna get through it. I go to bookstores and I go to libraries and stuff, and when I see all the books, I just get sad sometimes. I mean, like I'm excited to go into the stores or the library, but I get also get sad because I'm like, I'm never gonna get through all of these
Yeah.
books.
I'm going through the same thing, and I got this like TBR jar, and I was like, all right, I have this jar where like it's not going to take much effort to decide on my next book. I'll just put all of like the suggested titles into this jar, and I'm just gonna pick one title after I finish each book. Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
no.
Because sometimes in my mind, I'm like, no, I want to read that one next. Or, so
Exactly.
I just,
Exactly. Things jump the line. Exactly. That's exactly it. Because I'll have like a list. Like I'm a general a very avid user of like Libby. So I'm using my library all the time. And you have like huge I will not tell you how many books I have on my hold shelves and my like tags that I have tagged. And
yeah.
as they come up, I'll be like, ooh, this book has become available. And then I'm like, oh no, but this book's available too. And so then I'm like, okay, things are jumping around. And then that's not even including when like one of my friends who's an author's book comes out. And then I'm like, okay, that's jumping the line. And
Yes.
so it's an ongoing challenge.
Yep. I hear you. Um, in your opinion, what is the most rewarding aspect of being an author?
I would say that so far, and I feel like I'm very new to this journey. Um, like what what's been very rewarding, which was what made me want to be a writer in the first place, was just the way that I can let my imagination like run. You can just do anything. There are no rules. I can go anywhere I want to go. I can do whatever I want to do. Now I'm quoting Reading Rainbow, but it's just like I am able to really just like unfurl my imagination. But I also really have enjoyed thus far, like meeting readers and getting like their feedback, like, and meeting other authors, and like being able to be in fellowship with them. So those have been the most rewarding elements.
Yeah, that's awesome. Another author that we interviewed earlier this week, she said the same thing, like collaborating and connecting through community with her readers has been like so rewarding. I'm
Yeah.
glad that that's like, something that is consistent with the authors that we've been speaking to. And it's awesome. How has the publishing landscape changed since you started? And how have you adapted to these changes?
But again, like I think of myself as being very new to it because like I was unagented and signed basically in 2020. So I'm still like fledgling. At least I like to think of myself as still like a fledgling. So I would say I'm still trying to find my footing. I mean, I kind of, I'm only really finishing my first contract right now. And so I think I'm discovering the changes as everybody else is kind of, and I'm trying to feel them out and trying to figure out what um like how to make myself stand out and stuff. So I think I think I think that maybe with more time, because that's the other thing too, publishing moves very slowly because of the fact that it takes, at least trad pub takes like a long time between when you like write your book and when it's on in readers' hands. So all the changes like come in very long curves.
Yeah. What role do you think social media plays like in authors' careers today?
Um, well, okay, so I would say that social media is like a net good, right? So it for I would say particularly for indie writers, like it's leveled the playing field in a lot of ways. Like as it still is it level completely? No, but there are a lot more indie writers now that are able to make like bestseller lists and stuff like that than ever before, like
Yeah.
by far. And that you can definitely thank social media for, because that's how people have been able to find their audience and stuff. And they don't need you know, the backing of some huge like big five publisher to engage with their audience. So in that way, you can you can put your work out there and you can get almost immediate feedback, and you have a much more um I guess what you would say like a fulfilling community to work back and forth with. Like you know how they feel and they can kind of know how you feel as well.
Yeah. How do you feel about book reviews and like, do they influence like your future works? Do you consider them when you're writing, do your writing process?
I can only speak for myself, but I think, having spoken with other authors, that it's a lucky author who could say no. Like, I do what I do and people meet me where I'm at, right? Or I meet them where they're at. I would say though, you know, I think that reviews and book reviews, they they are good for the people that those are made for, which are readers,
Mhm.
right? So as a reader, I love book reviews. They really help me figure out what I want to read next and that sort of thing. As a writer, I think that if you spend too much time thinking about your reviews, then you can kind of lose track of yourself and what you really want to do, and you spend your time trying to like write to people's tastes that may
Yeah.
not be your own. And like I said, the curve in publishing is very long, and so in doing that you could find yourself very far behind the curve if you're doing, because people's tastes change
Yes.
so fast. So you know, like it's interesting as like a sort of like a market indicator, but I think that's all that it should, that's the only purpose it should serve for an author, not for a reader, but for an author.
Yeah. What do you see as the biggest or a big challenge for authors today?
Very related, I would say, to your last two questions. I think maybe like breaking through and actually finding that audience. I think that's the biggest challenge, because the landscape right now is very saturated, and
Yes.
there's just so many things. Like, it doesn't matter what your taste is, right? Like, there's something out there for you. And so like rising above or making like your own little dent in that landscape can be very difficult. But at the same time, the flip side of that is that there is like dating, like there is a pot, or at least what they say about dating, there's a pot for every lid, which means your readers are out there. It's just a matter of finding them. Like, there are people out there for whatever your specific type of whatever is. There are definitely people out there who are going to be like, oh my god, this is the best book I have ever read. And
Yeah.
it's just the key of finding those people, locating where they are, having them find you, and you find them.
Yep. I agree with that. Do you have any upcoming projects that you're excited about that you can share a little bit about, maybe?
I have to be like really kind of closed mouthed about this right now. I am working on something. I will say that it's a paranormal.
Okay.
I'm trying my hand at that. And since I'm like I'm a contemporary person, it's a little bit of a challenge for me, but I really like fantasy as a reader. And so I was like, I can't, and that's always been one of my like the things that I've loved. Ever since I was like a kid. So it's like, how could you love these things as much as you do and never like try. So this is
Yes.
my next book is my attempt, but I can't say anything more than that.
Okay, that's a lot. That's really good. I'm excited. I love when authors like try different genres and stuff. Nick Stone is well, she wrote an adult novel
Oh,
that
okay.
releases in October. I was like, yeah, like I'm here for all of the changes and the variety. So I love that. I can't wait to check it out. If you could collaborate with any other author, living or dead, who would it be and why?
I so I have a hard time with that only because like I'm such a like reading like Gladfy. I'd like jump from like book to book and genre to genre that it's hard for me. I thought about it because like my mom was like the first real reader in my life. Like I always had there were ever since I was little, there were many books in our house, like stacks and stacks. We had bookshelves for days. And she's a big mystery person. And so I would love to write a mystery for my mom, just for something for her to read. And so I would say that probably like Agatha Christie, because I know like she's loved Agatha Christie since forever. So I think I
Yeah.
would want to more than collaborate with Agatha Christie, I'd like to like pick her brain. I'd just be like, how did you do that? How were you able to do this? So I think, like I think that would be it. Yeah, Agatha Christie.
I love that because I like also like that connection of like you seeing this author, in your home growing up and knowing that your mother loved reading her books and then yeah, so I love that you made that choice. How you think, or how would you measure success as an author? And has the definition changed over time?
Um, it has. It definitely has because when I was like in the like query trenches, such that they were, because I already told you my story. But
Yeah.
it was just about getting a book deal, and then it was just about actually seeing my name on a book. Like that was it. I was like, you have arrived, girl. That is it. You can say that you are an
Yes.
author and you done. Like just being able to walk into a bookstore and have my book on a shelf and see it and maybe sign it, that was the end all and the be all for me. But of course those kind of the goalposts shift, and so it kind of became like being a professional in the industry, like becoming a professional. And then it kind of became like, how many books have you written? Like getting to a certain book number. Cause like I'd heard a stat before about how many people get to a certain number before they just like stop writing or whatever. So in my mind, I was, if I can get to that number, then I will. And I haven't gotten there yet, but it feels a lot more doable than it did before. So like now
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, well, what's beyond that? And I think it's become like a little bit more like having readers that engage with my work and like being able to like fellowship with them and that sort of thing, like go to cons and like meet readers and turn them on to my books and that sort of thing. So I think that's kind of what success looks like for me. Oh, and this is so silly, but seeing my book in the airport bookstore,
Yes. I get
that's
happy when I see like authors whose books I love, authors who I know. Like when I see books in the airport that I recognize, I'm taking video, I'm taking pictures, I'm purchasing, even though I have copies at home. So yeah, I understand.
yeah, no, I had a there I was in like Iceland. Well, I was in Iceland and I saw somebody I knew's book in the bookstore in Iceland, and the airport bookstore, and I was like, there was I think there was an Icelandic translation, maybe even, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, girl, you know. And so, yeah, that is one of my little things.
Yeah, no, I understand that. What advice would you give to young writers who are just beginning their journey?
Um, Again, read, write,
Yeah,
write, write. Figure out what it is that you want to say, because I think that's really important. Not, again, not to be writing the trend or anything or what you think other people want to read. Figure out what the message is. Not to say that it has to be anything deep. If you want to write cozies or whatever, it doesn't have to be deep, but I feel like you need to have a point of view though. Like if you're just writing and you don't actually have a point of view, then like what are you doing? So
yeah,
figure out what it is that you want to do, what you want to say, what the purpose of your books are. And then I would say, and also then find a community of people that you trust.
yeah. I like that, the community, because I find that like getting feedback and workshopping your writing um lends itself to like learning, which is great, like a great process for any journey. So that's really good advice. What legacy do you hope to leave through your writing?
Oh man. I don't know, like something, books that people really enjoy, books that people also see themselves in, I think. If they can say, I read that book and I got that character, or I am that character, or I know that character, I think that would be very gratifying for me to.
Yeah. Is there an author quote that resonates with you and your beliefs about life or legacy?
Um, I I couldn't think of one specifically, but it's like a general idea that I think was like Maya Angelou had, that was kind of like any book that brings a child to reading is a good book.
Yeah.
Because like people get into, especially nowadays, like in the climate that we are in right now, like what are good books and what are bad books, and like banning
Mhm.
books and that sort of thing. And it's like, and my aunt was like a big proponent of that. She was just like, what will make you sit down and read? Like I mean, of course it can't be just anything, but in some respects, why not? Like anything that'll get you to sit down and read is a good book. That book has merit. Like when I was really small, I used to really like Betty and Veronica, like
Yeah.
Archie comics. And so my aunt would just get those for me, even though like technically, they're comics or whatever, but like she was like, you're reading.
Yeah. Yep.
And my younger brother, for a long time, he didn't really dig reading either. And um I gave him the last vampire books by Christopher Pike, because I
Yeah.
was reading Christopher Pike, and he just devoured them. And then
Yep.
next thing you knew, and I gave him all the like little vampire books that I had. And next thing you know, we're going to the bookstore, and that's what he's looking for. And then when we're in the bookstore, because I knew for myself, and I knew that he liked anime, I was like,
Yeah.
grab a manga. Like if you want a manga, go get it. I'll get it for you. I'm like, I'm not caught up in the fact that they're like as many pictures of there as there are words or whatever. If that's what you like to read, that's what you read. And he's a much bigger reader now than he was at the time, because of the fact that, I never gave him a hard time. Like no one in our family gave him a hard time about what it was, the quote unquote quality of what it was he was reading.
I love that. I have a book club unit with my students, so I teach ninth and 12th grade. And, we have our curriculum books that we have to read with them. But every year we have a book club unit, and that's when I take my students to the library, the school library, after they like jot down genres that they think they might be interested in, and they get to like collaborate with their classmates who have similar interests, and they go into the school library and they pick out a book that they're all going to read together. And if the librarian doesn't have it, we have something called Learning Ally that gives the students access to books online. And so they just have an option to choose something that they want to read. I'm like, this is something I'm not making you read. I'm not saying read Of Mice and Men. They're like, oh, Miss Parker, why do we have to read these books? I'm like, now you can choose. And I see such a difference, especially because my ninth graders, will see them
Yeah.
10th, 11th, 5th, 12th grade. So you see just like them coming back and like showing me new books that they found over the summer and recommending things for me to read and add to my TBR list that's
Yeah.
overflowing.
Flowing,
But I love it.
exactly.
Like every year, it never fails. Like they find joy in that, and I think that it's just beautiful. So I always take
Yeah.
pictures too, just to like. So I have pictures over the last 5 years, like that I've been
Mm.
doing it at this school, and it's just amazing, amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
If you can, if you can catch a person's like interest reading,
Yes.
it's a like I just think it's an amazing thing. And like you, I forget who else was saying like there's tons of like these kind of quotes, but because it's a truism, it's like when
Yeah.
you get someone to read, they're like free. They can there are a million worlds they can go to. The whole world just kind of opens up for them in a way
Yeah.
that it doesn't if you read less, or you're like less interested in that, because you see other people's points of view, you get to experience other things that you're unfamiliar with. It's just I can't, like I said, I can't recommend reading enough.
Yeah. If you could create a cosmetic product inspired by one of your books, what would it be? And how would it reflect the themes or characters in the story? So, any cosmetic product inspired by one of your books.
Well, in frequent flyers, there's a part in the very beginning where the main character Lainey like thinks that she's made like a little love connection with the person that she's sitting next to. And she jumps up to go to the bathroom and she uses it to like refresh herself. And I was thinking about it and I was like, yeah, something that would like a spritz or some kind of like refreshing agent. But then I was like, but Michaela, who's my character, my lawyer in Long Past Summer, she's like, like makeup doll, right? So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, so maybe not that, but she works long nights. So I was thinking maybe like a highlighter, like something that makes you, so maybe a little bit more than just like a refresher, like something like some kind of highlighter that would make you give you that glow, even on in the moments like after a red eye or after a long night in
Yes.
your office working, that would still make you look like refreshed, like make you look like you're popping or you're glowing or whatever. So I think a highlighter.
Okay. Awesome. I love that. Yeah. Cause I find that like having those little things in your purse that you can like just zhuzh up yourself a little bit is like
Exactly.
perfect. Yeah. My friend, she walks around with I forgot what she calls it, but sometimes she doesn't tell us that she's gonna spray us in the face with it.
Oh my gosh.
She's like, I think you just need, I forgot what she calls it, but it's like a little spritz, and she'll just come and like spray it, like, oh, doesn't it feel good? I'm like, can I close my eyes first?
Exactly. I mean, it's sure it does, but
But
I need my eyes
it
closed.
does wake me up. She walks around the hallway, and if she sees that we're like, she's like,
Dragging. That's hilarious. I have a little like NARS like highlighter that is like my new favorite thing that I just always like dab 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 dab. Now I glow. Now I look like I didn't, not sleep all night last night.
Yes. I love that. Like having those little things. So, Nue, tell the audience how they can reach you. I did love, love, love frequent flyers.
Oh,
So
thank you.
viewers definitely check out Nue's books. You can purchase them wherever books are sold. You can tell them how they can reach out to you on social media or your website.
I am Noué Kirwan, so NoueKirwan on basically all the socials. I've ran around and tried to like snatch them all up. So I'm nouekirwan.com. That's my website. I'm at Noué Kirwan on, I will not call it that word, but Twitter, um, on Insta. There's nothing on my TikTok, unfortunately, but on TikTok, if you can send me something on TikTok through a New Acre one, and also on Blue Sky.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. And we
Thank you
cannot
for
wait to
having me.
see you in September at the Beauty in a Bookstore tour.
I'm so excited.
Have a great week.
Bye.
All right, guys. So thank you for joining. It is time to share your book related fun facts. I will give you 5 minutes in the comments, share some book related facts. You could also share some books that you may be reading right now. We had a lovely conversation with author Noué Kirwan, and I cannot wait for you guys to meet her at the Beauty in the Bookstore tour on Saturday, September 21st. We will be celebrating local bookstores. The kickoff event will be held in Brooklyn, New York. Readers will be transported to various independent bookstores around the city. Food and beverages are included at the kickoff event. Libro FM has sponsored an audiobook for all registered attendees, so you will receive that QR code upon arrival. We will have self-care sessions, author signings, and more. So definitely come out, sip, eat, practice self-care, and shop. Register today. Be sure to select your genre team. A lot of the genres are going quickly, especially romance and sci-fi. Special thanks to our sponsors, Libro FM and DIY Van and Handyman Services, LLC. All information is available on our website, www.beautyandabookbox.com. Thank you so much for joining the Sunday Summer Series Bookish Conversations with Beauty and a Book Brand. My name is Nisha, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great week.